Hi, this is Paul. This is a shorter video of a longer video that's going to come out a day or two after this video on the question of confessionality, a way forward, and to answer Rita's questions. I was traveling when Synod happened, and my friend Eric Dirksen immediately tweeted out the need for Rita's questions to be answered. Eric, in fact, texted me at that very moment. Every conservative, progressive, and moderate on sexuality in the CRCNA should want a clear answer to Rita's question. And Cedric answered. Now, Cedric, another CRC minister, just did a video talking about the latest meeting in Classis Grand Rapids East responding to Synod. And so the longer version of this video deals with that. You'll have to wait for that another day or two. But I know not everybody will sit down and want to listen to an hour-plus video about Christian Reformed politics and polity, but this confessional answer is critical. And this confessional answer, I think we need to do better than just having sort of gates to say yes and no about people based on what they are willing to articulate and what they can articulate. The job of the church is, as is said, to not only defend these things, but to promote these ideas, and also to have all of our confessional ideas continue to grow. The idea behind confessionality is that we do, in fact, grow in our knowledge of the Lord, in our knowledge of His Word, in the presence of Christ, in all of these dimensions. And for years, I've been pleading for the Christian Reformed Church to engage in confessional conversation. And I think now, at this moment, everyone is feeling the need to do so, but we are going to have to structure and learn how to do so together. And I think it's going to involve probably adjusting some things in the church order, creating some new structures, creating some new traditions, and finding a way to not simply separate sheep from goats, but in fact to grow what we believe and what we profess and what our confessions hold, and however our confessions evolve and change with respect to a whole myriad of issues. So, hence this video. I'll start with Rita's question, which in many ways was just the moment of this synod.
Then Herb, and then Matt from Lake Erie.
Rita Klein-Gelting, Classis Quinty. I have a question for the majority committee, and I think I know the answer. Actually, 4 questions, but I know the answer, but because otherwise I wouldn't have signed the minority report. If this passes, can someone who is unsure of what God expects of LGBTQ peoples, can that unsure person become a member of the CRC? Question 2, can someone who is unsure become an office bearer in the Christian Reformed Church, in our churches? Number 3, can someone who is unsure sign a gravamen? Is that okay? I've been a member of the Christian Reformed Church all my life, as my husband and our parents and my 4 sons, my 4 boys, who are, Karen knows they're men, and their wives are all following Jesus and are members of the Christian Reformed Church. My 12 grandchildren are members of the Christian Reformed Church. If my 4 sons and their wives fall into this category of unsure, can the CRC still be their home? You may answer the question.
Church now all grown up and organized church in Davis about to answer this question.
And he talked about Rita at Classis, from Classis Quinty on Synod, and she asked Steve Zwart, can my boys who are not sure about this, and my grandchildren who aren't sure about this, can they remain members of the Christian Reformed Church? Can they make profession of faith? And at the town hall meeting, that was sort of just left hanging there as if there's not an answer to that.
Oh, tonight. Yeah,
tonight
yeah.
There was, and at Synod, to be fair,
yes.
It was left. And one of the things I would encourage people to do is to go and listen to my podcast,
Little plug there.
which is the Confessing Calvinist.
Oh, you even gave us the name of the podcast.
So,
okay, I was wondering if that was going to come.
It's
there it
coming.
was.
And the reason for this is because Synod 1964 dealt with this. And there was a Reformed Baptist couple that wanted to join the Christian Reformed Church, and one of the ministers in Classis Muskegon protested and said, how can we allow Reformed Baptists into the Christian Reformed Church? And Synod said, calm down, brother.
Now, that's a hugely important thing, because 1960s were a very different era in the Christian Reformed Church, and you can hear the tensions of that era were different, but yet there were tensions about things.
Churches have the right, consistories have the right to allow people who are not in full agreement with our confessions to join the Christian Reformed Church. And it's explained that there were three basic reasons why they thought this was acceptable. One was because the Reformed Baptist couple was otherwise reformed in agreement with our confessions. Second was that they were willing to be taught. And third was that they had made a promise that they would not advocate against the teaching of the church. And so...
And these are for members, not office bearers.
Exactly.
Okay, but now when I think about Gravamen going forward, people who are struggling with alignment with the confessions of the denomination that they're in, and there are lots of levels and layers to this. What people need is guidance and community and conversation and exploration, and it has to feel authentic to them. It has to be real for them. It's basically pastoral care and pastoral guidance. And I would say not just members, but if you're already beginning to sense the shape of a potential overture that I will write to the next synod, it is of this shape, because we need similar levels all the way up. Because if an elder or deacon is struggling with something, a confessional difficulty gravamen would be appropriate. How is that shaped? And I don't think we need a B gate on it to say in, out, 6 months or a year or 2 years. No. It takes time, but it's within a context, and it's within accountability. And so my idea is that if you have an elder or a deacon who files a confessional difficulty gravamen, the council then assigns, it could be the pastor of the church, could be someone from another church. There might have to be financial remuneration if there's too many of these, so that people aren't impoverished for the amount of time that they take. You could even have YouTube channels on issues or podcasts on issues. But let's have a conversation about this. Let's work on this question, because the goal is not just sort of keeping the sheep in the pen. The goal is growing the church on all levels of the church. And so the local council could assign a counselor to that person with a confessional difficulty gravamen. At the next level, if you have a minister, the minister is filing a confessional difficulty gravamen with the local council. Maybe at that point, the council needs to be in conversation with the classis and say, what resources do we have for the pastor? And so then you have the pastor has a mentor or a counselor or a colleague who is assigned, and they will meet during the year, and you could have accountability. And let's say every year the counselor gives a report to the council. Now, again, some of you, and this is where some of the tensions are going to arise, some of you say, well, I can't trust the local council. Well, then you're going to have to ask deeper polity questions about the Christian Reformed Church, because what the Christian Reformed Church does is try to keep in tension the authority of the local council, the regional classis, and the binational synod. And the authorities are of different kinds, and they're held in tension. So and this is where supervisions of councils from classes are going to come in, and supervision of classes from synods are going to come in. And the goal is not setting up all of these little Kafka traps or little binary gotchas. The goal is to have a system where, in fact, not only where the confessional growth and development of the church can take place. And currently, with our system of assemblies, we don't really have that. We have other things within them that are designed to do some of this, but none of it's really been employed with an eye towards confessionality. It's generally employed with an eye towards pastoral care. So this is sort of the outline. These are the things that I am thinking about with respect to, okay, we've got another year to work on this gravamen issue. Let's look at developing structures that actually lead to better confessional conversations, better confessional development and growth within the church, and it's going to happen around these areas of confessional difficulties. Now, whether a split can be avoided, I don't know. Maybe such a thing could help with the disunity we have. That would mean that basically both sides would have to give a little something. One side would have to say, look what they said, we're going to be teachable. We're going to continue to publicly maintain the confessional integrity of the church, but in appropriate spaces and places, we are going to have confessional conversations in order to achieve the truth of Christ and the presence of Christ in our midst. That's our goal. So I don't believe such a thing is impossible for the Christian Reformed Church. By no means. Might it be difficult? Yes. Would there be compromise on all sides? Yes. Would it have to be a brave space and not a safe space? Yes. But to me, that's the way forward.